Hi, Liz Ness here. In today's video, we're going to illustrate some eggs just in time for the Easter holiday in America. However, before we get into it, if you're a big fan of design, illustration, and photo editing with the Procreate app on your iPad, then you've come to the right place. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell to be notified when new videos become available. If you're looking for our product demos for Procreate brushes sold at the lizness.com site, that's in my other channel, and you can find the link in this channel at the bottom of the page. I have open here a 12 by 12 inch canvas at 300 dpi, which translates to 3600 pixels by 3600 pixels. And let's see, we're going to go ahead and start by getting a pen, or a brush, sorry, and we're going to go ahead with the calligraphy monoliner that comes standard with Procreate. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and drop our first shape here, which is just going to be an oval, and we're going to use smart shapes to do it. So we're drawing an oval like that, holding it, and then we're going to edit the shape, and it's, okay, call it ellipse. That is more accurate. Okay, and then when I'm satisfied with that shape, I'm actually going to tap the transform tool to turn off smart shapes and tap it again to turn on the transform tool. And I don't mind how this is leaning over. I think that's great for an egg. But one of the things I do want to do is warp it a little bit. So I'm going to select the warp tool and advanced mesh, and I'm just going to bring in these two corners towards each other just a little bit. Oops, that's a little bit too much. Okay, yeah, just slightly, and this one too, and this one too. Well, let's see. Actually, that looks more egg-like to me. Okay. Now, my sister has chickens, and eggs, they actually come in a lot of different shapes. It's really weird. I've seen very sort of more coney-looking eggs and fatter, roundy eggs. They come in a variety of shapes, but they don't come in perfect ellipses. So that's what I want to do, is kind of change that shape just a little bit once I have it. And when I'm satisfied with it, I'm just going to go ahead and tap done there. Okay, and then I'm going to create another egg. I'm going to do it on a different layer though, so that when I, use that mesh to warp it, it's not affecting this layer. So okay, so let's draw another ellipse. Okay, edit shape. Yep, we don't. This is a little too long, so I'm going to go ahead and just bring it up to sort of a more close, close in size to this original one we have. Okay, and then again, transform tool twice, and it's already set to warp, but I need the advanced mesh here. Okay, let's see, I'm going to take this corner, move it in slightly, this corner, move it slightly, and let's see, I think maybe these just a little bit too. There we go. Okay, nice kind of egg shape there, but I think it might be a little too tiny compared to this egg. So I know that they come in different sizes too, but I think this is just a little too tiny. My eyes are like not liking it. So I'm going to go over to uniform, and I'm just going to grow that size just a tad. Okay, and I'm going to push it right in front of this one. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, I think I need one more egg, and honestly, I'd like these to be like a little more centered, but I think I'll get to that in just a moment. Okay. I'm going to change this color over to white, and I'm going to go ahead and fill this egg right here with white so that it hides that back line there. Okay, that's good. Okay, new layer. And actually, while I'm at it, I'm going to select this layer and fill it with white as well. Okay. Okay, go back to my new layer, switch over to black again, and let's see, let's draw my other egg. Let's see, where do I want this? I think I want it to be sort of falling this way, so I'm going to just draw it like this, and hold. Yep, and then we can edit that shape. I'm going to make it just a little bit wider like that. Okay, and then I'm going to tap that transform tool twice, go back to warp, and advanced mesh. And once again, I'm going to move these in just a bit. Okay, I like that. Very subtle. Okay, good. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to white and fill this one with white. Okay. Like that. Oh yeah, I think I like that better. It's like I want it to be coming out a little bit. Okay, but now I want to move all three of them together. So I'm going to, with this selected, I'm just going to gently glide these others to the right slightly till they select all of them, and then select that as a group. And then with my transform tool, I feel like these are a little bit big for the picture I want, and I also kind of want to center them. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our eggs drawn, so let's go ahead and start filling them in. What I'm going to do right now, though, is I'm going to merge all of these together. So I'm just going to merge down and merge down. And the reason I've done that is that I now want to turn this into a reference layer, because I don't want black lines on my eggs in the end. So, okay, so I'm actually going to pull this out of the group at this point, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that group. Okay, so now I've got my 3 eggs here, and I'm going to tap that layer and tap reference. And I'm going to create a new layer on top. And now I'm going to put different colors in there that are sort of pastel-y, because, you know, chickens lay different colored eggs. So let's look at this. I think I'm going to go with, like, I'm just thinking it's sort of, the brown is going to be sort of an orange, but kind of over softer, like right about there color. I'm going to drop it into that. And that was that layer, just because I'm using reference, it just filled that little space right there. So now I'm going to do another layer. And I want these on different layers because I'm going to add some shading and detail to them too. So, okay, this next layer, let's go with more of a off-white, sort of yellowish egg there. Right there. Okay. And then I think I want something a little bit more on the green side of things, right there, for that last layer. So I'm going to create a new layer and drop it right there. Okay, that's awesome. So now that I've got the colors here, I'm going to go ahead and go back to this reference layer, tap it, and then turn reference off. And now I'm just going to go ahead and hide that layer. So now I have my eggs right here. Okay, I am ready to either add spots or shading or things like that. So the first thing I think I want to do is add some shading actually to the surface below them, just to sort of get the ball rolling in that area and kind of establish where my light is coming from. So I think I'm going to have it sort of coming from the top down. So I want there to be just a little bit of a, you know, shadows right in here. Okay, so I'm going to go to my light gray color here, very light gray. I'm going to dial up my brush, and let's see, I need a new layer. I do have it on a new layer. Okay, and I'm going to just kind of draw right in here. This is going to be underneath, so I don't have to worry about like being over the top of my eggs or anything like that. Okay, and then I'm thinking that that's probably pretty good in terms of where I've laid this down. Okay, like that. Okay, and now I'm going to go up to my magic wand, select Gaussian Blur, layer, oh, yep, that's right. And then I'm going to start dialing it up. Okay, awesome. Okay, it kind of looks like they're floating at this point because this one's too far out. So I will adjust that in just a moment. But that looks like a pretty good, shadow at the moment. So I like that. So, but I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it. And then I'm going to select both of them, and I'm going to move them back just a little bit. Like that. Okay. And then this one on top, I'm going to move back even further. And then I'm going to make that a little bit darker. So I'm going to go over to my magic wand here, hue, saturation, and brightness. And I'm going to start dialing that down just a little bit so that it looks darker right where they all are, and then it's lighter on the outside. So that adds a nice, like, they're together, there's some light coming down, but there's still some shadow there. So that's great. I like the way that looks. That's cool. Okay, but now the eggs look still a little bit flat. So now it's time to start shading those too. So we're going to go above each, we're going to select each one one at a time. And this part right here, I'm going to create a layer on top of that. Let's see, I still have my gray selected. I think I want a little bit darker gray, so I'm going to go this median right here. And I will leave a link in the description below to get this monochrome palette. It's really useful. And you can get it for free. Everybody gets it for free that visits my site, so it's under the freebies. So I will leave a link for that. Painting, let's go painting, yeah. And I want to go down to, ooh, I like, yeah, okay, let's go with watercolor and just see what that looks like. I want it to be a little smoother. Okay, so Okay, it's very subtle, but I can make it line along the egg, which I kind of like. Okay, so now let's go ahead and change that mode to something like, let's see, multiply, darken, color burn, color burn. Yeah, I like color burn. That's kind of nice. Of course, I don't want it up here on top like I have it right now because that's actually where the light source is coming from, kind of this way. So, well, you know, I still don't want it quite as high there. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to white and paint that top part here, just so we kind of get rid of, yeah, there we go. Okay, and now I'm going to go really bold here and go with a much darker gray down at the bottom here, like where those, oh, okay, if I press harder, I see this is one of those pressure sensitive brushes. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and, now that I kind of know that. Okay. Okay, I like that. Let's go ahead and hit our wand and blur. Oops, that's too much. Somewhere right around there looks pretty good. And I think I want to move that all down, so I'm going to select the transform tool and move my color down a bit. There we go. Okay, I like that. There should be a little bit more there too, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit. That's probably too much here. I just want it down in this area right here. Okay, again, Gaussian Blur. Right like that. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. That gives us the sense of the shape here. And I'm going to go ahead and dial that down just a little bit here. So somewhere around there. Okay, now it looks like that the egg is round. I like that. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing to this egg right here. We're going to add a layer above it. We're going to tap it, turn it into a clipping mask. I'm going to stick with that gray. I'm going to go ahead and select color burn now, since I know that's the combination I want. Actually, it's a lighter color egg, so maybe I don't need to go quite so dark, so I'm going to go with this medium gray there. Okay, and see, I want to have more dark down here. And right in there where there's, okay. So we're coloring it right where it's sort of where it's in company of others, so there might be, you know, shadows casting and stuff like that. I kind of want it to go along the edge here too, just to give it more of a sense of roundness, so something like that. Okay, and then over to Gaussian Blur. Yep, perfect, good enough for me. Well, maybe a little more. Okay, yeah, there we go. Got a nice light kind of bleeding off into more of a darker, so I like that. It needs to be a little bit rounder feeling down here, so I need to make it darker. So I am going to go with a darker color for that bit. And I'm just going to come right in here, really try to darken that up. There we go. And just keep laying it down right along the edge there. Okay. And then maybe up in here too. Okay, what's more with the Gaussian Blur? There we go. Okay, now it has a sense of, I do feel like it's floating just a little bit. So I'm going to want to blend that just a bit. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go back to those layers for the shadows. And I'm going to select both of them together in my transform tool. And I think I'm going to move them just over just a little bit. There we go. So that looks a little bit more like there's something going on there. Now sometimes this is really weird. In a shadow, a lot of times you have a reflection of the white back on. So you have dark here, but you have like a lighter piece right where the dark piece meets. It's really bizarre. So I'm going to take a little bit of white here. I'm going to go back to my calligraphy set and the monoline here. I'm going to dial it down just a little bit. I'm going to go right up here to this layer, which is this egg, and I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I'm going to actually select this one and put a layer in between so that it's also clipped. And then I'm just going to right along this edge right here, I'm gonna just put a little bit of white. Okay, now it looks really like a lot right now, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and blur it. There we go. Okay, so now that really gives this sense of curvature too. And I'm going to move it down because it's just a little too much into the egg. So with that layer selected, I'm going to select my transform tool and I'm just going to subtly, whoa, okay. Okay. There we go. All right. I like that. And because we did a reference layer, there's actually a nice white line right here in between. So I'm probably going to want to move everything over just a bit. So I'm going to select this layer and the two layers that are clipped to it. And then I'm going to select my transform tool and I'm just going to bounce it over just a little bit like that. So that it kind of fills in that gap there that was created because this is a reference. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now I want to make this egg a little bit different. I'm going to give it some shading too. So right now it feels like it's floating because of those these two shadow layers. So I kind of want to move these shadow layers back this way because I liked bringing them forward for this egg, but I need to move them back. So you can just tap it, it'll gently move like pixel by pixel. Okay. And that looks, let's see if I bring it down just a little bit and over. I don't want it too much like that. Okay, actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeform this and I'm going to move this in a little bit like that and this down a little bit over here. Okay, I want it to be a sense of it kind of going behind so that the light source is like that, sort of. Okay, that seems pretty good, but there we go. Okay, and if I move everything down, but back, and this back too, maybe just smaller. Okay, that's starting to feel pretty good. I just still don't really like that very much. So I think I'm going to go ahead and select warp and advanced warp, and I'm just going to push this shadow up a little bit into that egg. Perfect. And I want it to come down over here a bit more, but in too. So something like that, I think. Yeah. Okay, that's a little better. Let's see. Now if I move this in, what will that do? Oh, yeah. Okay. I kind of like that a bit better. Okay, there we go. I kind of like that better for the shading underneath the egg there. Okay. So that looks pretty good. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and attack that. That sounds terrible. Attack the egg. The poor egg. Okay. We're going to go ahead and select that top layer there and create a new layer on top of that and select clipping mask. And then I'm going to go back to my painting tool, the watercolor there, and I'm going to put some nice dark, let's see, how dark do I want to go? I think I'm going to go the darkest for right in here, just to begin with, and just kind of paint right in there. Okay, and then over here too, so like that. Okay, and I forgot to color burn it, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and go over to our magic wand and Gaussian Blur, layer, and then dial that up a bit. Ooh, I like. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, so that's nice shading and color and stuff like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Okay, so there we have some eggs, but I feel like we need to make this just a little more interesting, the background and whatnot. And so I think I'm going to create the illusion of a table here. So we're going to go all the way back down to our original layer here. I'm going to put a layer above that. And then, let's see, how do I want to do this? I think I'm just going to draw a nice line in a pale blue, like somewhere like around like, yeah, that's, I want it more of a pale gray blue like that. Okay. And then I want my calligraphy monoliner again. And I'm just going to draw a straight line back here and hold so that it becomes straight, and then I can straighten it out a bit. Okay, and I can see it coming through here. That means I need to move that whole egg up. So we'll do that in just a moment. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and drop color like that. So it looks like that these are on a table. And I'm going to work with that color in just a bit. But let's go back to the egg first. So this top egg and then the clip layer with it, we're going to select both of those and then select our transform tool. And we're going to go back to uniform. And then we're just going to tap. There we go, until that gap closes. And again, that was from the reference. So, okay. Oops. There we go. Okay. So now this is like a tablecloth, and I like that. I feel like I want to have a little bit of texture on it, and I want to play with that color back there again. So let's go back to that layer, and I have recolor set up with my little square here, and you can set that up in your preferences. So I'm going to select recolor, and I'm going to go up to that, and I'm going to play around with this color a bit until it gets to the color I like. I want it to be sort of subtle, but a little bit more vibrant, less desaturated. Okay. Okay, something like that maybe. Looks pretty good. Okay, and then I'm thinking that this white probably ought to be more of a yellow color. So I'm going to, you know, like a yellow white. So I'm going to come up to yellow and, oops, I forgot what I was doing there. Okay, let's go back to that blue. Okay, turn that off. All right, and now let's go select that color. So yellow and very subtle yellow. There we go. Maybe a little more. Oh, no, that's too yellow right in there. Okay, I'm going to drop that color into there. Ooh, let's recolor that too. That I'm not crazy about. So let's see, I think I went too far. Something more like, I just don't want it to be too sunny. There we go. This is more whitey white. Okay, something like that. That's a little bit more warm. Okay. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this layer. And I am going to change the mode in it. So the blending mode. I'm going to go ahead and multiply. And then I'm going to come over here to the selection ribbon. I'm going to select rectangle, and I'm going to draw a big old rectangle around my art, like, oops, like that-ish. Okay, and I just want to cut it, so I'm going to use 3 fingers and drag down. Oops, tap. There we go. 3 fingers, drag down, and then select cut. Okay, perfect. And now I'm going to go ahead and select the magic wand and Gaussian Blur again and the layer, and I'm just making basically a vignette, and so I'm just going to drag that over so it gives the appearance of the edges here, so it looks kind of old-fashioned, right? So I like that too. Awesome. Okay, and I still feel like I want a little bit more, like I feel like this is too plain, and I also feel like those eggs are just too far up on the table, so let's bring those down. So we're going to select this layer, all of these layers, those are the egg layers. Actually, I'm going to put them into a group so it's easier to move them around and do stuff with them. So group. Okay, and then I'm going to close that group. And with that group selected, actually just make sure, yep, group, just the group is selected, not an individual egg. Then I'm going to go ahead to go over to my transform tool and just bring these down just a little bit. I'm going to find the center, yep, center middle there, and then bring these down. Awesome. Okay, and then I feel like I want a pattern in the background for like wallpaper or some sort of hint of wallpaper or something like that. So I am going to go just above, let's see, this layer right here, because I want that to go over the top. Create a new layer, and then I'm going to look for one of my patterns that I have, and you can do anything you want to, but I want to check out the patterns that I have. And these are for sale on my store. So if you want to do, I want a parlor. Something like that. Ooh, okay. Now I'm trying to decide which one. This one looks really ornate, very farmy, kitchen, old-timey. So I think I'm going to try that one and see what happens. I'm going to select just white for it. And I'm going to make it as big as possible. And then I'm going to lay it down. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay. Now it's doing something to my tablecloth too, because of course I didn't mask out that piece. And that's fine. I'm just trying to decide if that's what I want to do, if I want to mask it out or not, because I kind of like it. It's kind of weird and it's subtle. Let's go ahead and play with the opacity just a bit and see. Oh yeah, see, I kind of like it over the whole entire table. I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, and now I'm just wondering if my eggs are bright enough compared to everything else now. So Let's see, do I want to do anything with that? Man, just think maybe I want to dial that opacity down just a little bit more, because I don't want that. So our eyes are drawn to the light colors, right? So I don't want it to argue too much with my eggs. I want my eggs to be center stage. So I'm just going to keep on dialing that down, 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 until it's just more of a subtle hint about something going on. And the table has this, because the colors are so close, you know that there's something going on with the table, but you don't quite know what, so the tablecloth. So it just gives it more of a realistic appearance. And I think that's it. We're done. These are our eggs.
If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you're notified when new videos become available. Meanwhile, I hope your day is amazing.